morning, welcome back to me, welcome back to Thailand. True Blue Tech here from Thailand. I hope you're doing well. It is one Saturday here in Thailand. It's gone a bit cloudy. It's been very humid now. The temperature's definitely gone up. So, but it's the humidity's come back as well. But there's a difference. You can't have the high temperature, but you've got to have humidity, for instance. If you don't have the humidity at the beginning of January, for instance, you don't have that humidity, you just have the Samsic on top, 30 degrees. Okay, people say, oh, that's very hot, but if you don't have the humidity, you feel it, you feel the difference. And to me, it gets cold in the night. So I'm actually sleeping without my Christmas jumper on for the first time since we're in Pan February. Anyway, so right, so hope you're doing well. So welcome back to Thailand. So for instance, in a little bit part of the high season, busy, but we've got focused on the football. So tomorrow is their game. So it is Saturday here at the moment, midday, around about 11 o'clock in the morning here, and we'll just go through what Pep's got on to say, and also the mainstream Southern-based bias and media. My friend, best friend, brother, is a big Liverpool fan, etc. For instance, so we'll be sharing, but we have respect to each other's teams, etc. So we don't slag each other's teams off. For instance, and he doesn't like losing, for instance, but he can be a bit of a bad loser, like as most of us. But he's a very good guy, for instance, and he's Paul, for instance, is a really top brother, for instance, really good guy. Not my brother, but I look at him as a brother. But also he loves football and supports Stockport County, and for instance, he loves his football, and he does a very good job. Being a good person, a really good person, really good heart. But again, for instance, he's very respectful, and so there'll be a bit of pulling towards each other about our teams, etc. But there's a great respect for our teams, which there should be. There should be a respect between Liverpool and City fans. Regardless of the area, from instance, Manchester, Liverpool, between the two teams, etc. There should be, because again, we're all trying to play football the right way, really, because they're playing trying football. They're not playing the ARESnal way of set pieces and corners, etc. Not so called set pieces and one way, etc. For instance, the way Arsenal's trying to cheat their way to the the game, for instance, and with our teams having issues. Like most of the Premier League sides at the moment. So, but we're we do play football in the right way. So it should be a good game. It's the top game of the weekend again for City, and Arsenal played today, for instance, against Sunderland. Everybody's expecting Arsenal to win that Sunderland game. Not so sure. Again, I've seen it so many times. We've seen it by the mainstream Southern-based bias media, where they're saying, "Oh well, Arsenal are going to win that." Well, I'm sorry, I've watched too many football games in Manchester to say that. For instance, everything's a foregone conclusion just because you're here and they're there, and that's crap. For instance, and how we're supposed to put 10 past a team, etc., just goes to the bottom of the team, bottom of the league, e.g. Wolves, Leeds, etc. So, but the fact is, for myself, etc., so I don't think it's going to be an easy game for as easy or as for Arsenal as the Sunderland game. For instance, we'll see, and I feel that Sunderland can get some out of the game. Of course they can. They're a Premier League side. And for instance, but it's going to be difficult, it's going to be tough, but you never know. 90 minutes, you never know. Premier League sides, you just don't know. That is the difference. That is why when the United fans talk about the 20 times won it. When I was a kid growing up in football, watching the Premier League. Okay, the first division at the time. Right, there was actually only what it's like the Serie A right now, or the Liga, etc. Where basically you have the teams at the bottom, teams in the middle, and then the teams at the top. And for instance, the teams at the top will always beat all the other teams. The teams at the top and whatever in the middle, and blah blah blah. You don't have a Brentford, a Brighton, a Bournemouth right now. There was the mere fact that a team actually could get into the top half of the side, etc. Would be like, ooh, once in a million time. United's only competition was either Liverpool Okay, and I mean, what a couple of, maybe the odd one when Arsene Wenger came on was Arsenal. But apart from that, they had really zero competition. Maybe they had, Chelsea was in Division 1 with Manchester City. For instance, City were up and down by the bottom of the bit, and there was no real competition for the Aston Villa weren't there. For instance, maybe they had a good season, but United really had the run of the run of the Premier League, the run of the First Division, the title. So it wasn't, and and did they have the best team? Yeah, well, they also spent the most money as well. United. You can't say that. It's Fergie. So they didn't have the competition as what they have right now. So for me, watching, I remember growing up. That's all you could see, and you could easily predict who was going to win, who was going to lose. Where, for instance, when it comes to why my father didn't, doing the football pools didn't win more often, I don't know. For instance, now in every Premier League game, it's not as easy and straightforward game. City Liverpool Sunday. Once again, it's going to be. I think that a lot of the favourite of what people are saying now, it's going to be a draw. Between City and Liverpool. I think that's. I think Neda Manua has got a draw. I think a lot of people are saying draw. Let's go to. And it's City's bogey side, etc. I'm not. We don't have a great record with Liverpool. I'm not going to say it's a bogey. I'm going to say we just don't have a great record at Liverpool at Anfield. For instance, are we perfect? No. Are Liverpool perfect at the moment? No, because Liverpool are not Liverpool from last season. For instance, Liverpool have defensive issues, Man City have defensive issues. But when I say Man City have defensive issues, I'm listening to Craig Burley on ESPN and he was talking, Man City's defence is not good. I'm sorry, we've got Mark Gahey, we'll have maybe Ruben Diaz will come on, Kusinov, etc., who's got he's been hailed for his contribution since he's come in. I think it's 8-9 games in a row now he'll play against on Sunday. We'll have Nunes, which is a fantastic right back at the moment, really well got into the roles, and there's a toss up between O'Reilly and Ryan Ignore, for instance, who played left back. So Man City's defence at the moment, I'm very, very calm about it. I'm very happy about it. Where, for instance, we fall short is the fact that we lose control of the midfield, and I think formation, it's all about formation. And I think Man City, we really have the right formation. And if we put Nico G and Rodri in there, with Tiana Reinders, etc., who deserves to start because of that, we won't have Bernardo Silva, but I think we'll have Ryan Cherky, for instance, Omar Mouche and Haaland, for instance, and Omar Mouche by himself, like Haaland on the bench, and then put in Semenko and Semenko and Gahey, for instance. Semenko and Cherky, for instance. I think we should have enough. I think we'll have enough to cause problems for Liverpool tomorrow, for instance, and because again their defence is not great. And Van Dijk has been called out for a few issues as well. So I'm getting more confident that Man City can get a result at Anfield. It's not going to be easy. But I do believe, for instance, it's not a foregone conclusion. Just like I was saying before, for instance, I've asked about Sunderland against Arsenal. It's not a foregone conclusion. So, and this is where I am at with it. So, at the moment. I do feel that Man City could get a 2-1 victory out of it. We might concede. You've got Salah back, etc. But Salah will probably. Ekitike is playing well. They were saying Florian Wirtz is better. But I just, again, for instance, I think it all depends on the midfield. And I think, for instance, Man City keep it tight in midfield and we don't push our wingers too far forward, etc. And we keep protect the midfield. That's the reason why Nico Gonzalez is a must to play. I think, for instance, we can keep Liverpool at bay, for instance, and hope they might have a lot more possession than us. But again, having more possession, giving the other teams more possession has worked out better for Manchester City of the games we've won previously compared to the times when we've had most of the possession. So, and if we keep it tight and we don't allow the transition, etc. For instance, the ball over, and I can't see Liverpool playing a low block against City, for instance. But so I think it will be very competitive, and I think it will definitely be, the game will be won in midfield, the way between Verts, how he plays. So with Liverpool. So I'm getting more confident, but it does look like a draw. But we'll see. But we'll see what happens. So Liverpool's look at that. Wait. So recent forms, again. So we know about City's recent form. Let's have a look at the. I was listening to Johnny yesterday on Typical City, and for the second part. For instance, I'll talk about that in a minute, what he was talking about. But again, for instance, as a Man City fan, I'll come back to that in a minute. So let me just focus on the game. So I said, like yesterday. I said a recent form for Liverpool, etc. They said they beat Burnley, drew against Burnley again at the Premier League. Then in the cup games they're doing very well. Marseille they won, but then they lost against Bournemouth again, Premier League side. They beat a Karabakh but they beat Newcastle as well the last two games. They're. Again, they're still not flying on all. They're not the Liverpool of before. So, and I think, for instance, you've got to look at that as well. You've got to injury players. Okay, so we've got the same usual. The biggest injury miss for us will be the fact that David Silva again. I think he's got a knock, etc. It doesn't feel well. He might be playing or might be on the bench. I think he's a warrior. I think he's told Pep Guardiola he wants to play, but we'll see. Docker will be a miss because he was brilliant in the reverse picture where City beat them 3-0 and were all very dominant against Liverpool. But he'll be a bad miss. John Stones, I believe he might be on the bench. We might even see the John Stones again. Whoa! So we'll see that. So welcome back, John. For God's sake. I'll leave you back for 1 minute. So we'll have a look at Liverpool's as well. I think I did talk about it yesterday, but I didn't do too much. So Liverpool's missing players are Belichick, Bradley, Frimpong, Gomez, Isak, and Leone. Isak, how much money you pay for him when he's on the bench? I was always injured. So for instance, but it's made it easier for who's going to play up front, etc. for Liverpool. So and Ekitike, so of all the tech players, I prefer. See that. Right. Okay. So I think altogether I'm getting more and more confidence. Let's listen to see what Pep has had to say about in his press conference. Okay. Let's have a quick nosy because he was asked a few questions and again my heart is in my mouth, etc. when Pep's asked questions. You've got these slimy journalists all talking about Manchester City, for instance. Oh, Pep. One slagged him off about his comments regarding his political comments. And for instance, and then he kind of crawled back into his shell about his comments, which is it just seems a little bit for instance, Kujanov was probably played of the month. So about these political views, etc. Saying that people have been criticising him, and he said, "Well, why? What have I said?" And I don't think I've said it, etc. There's too many wars going on. It's terrible. What did I say wrong? Nothing. He's called for the players to step up at Anfield City's and to build on our Wembley success or success of going to Wembley. Another difficult assignment. He also said, I have an idea on the lineup and I'll see how they played later. We have we have what to do, just something, but not just Anfield. At big stages, big games, we need big personalities. Asking about Ryan Cherky, what a great Maverick as a player, for instance, and he wanted to keep him. He said he was resigned to the fact that Gahey's not playing, which is okay, fine. In some clubs, the skills there, not no one player is good enough to play in big games. You have to play not good, bad, or how you're a player. Do you have to do it in the big stadiums? A lot of people say it's a must-win for Man City. Again, for instance, I think we just got to keep on the coast of Arsenal. A draw would not be the end. For instance, regardless of what people will say, we lose and Arsenal win, etc. That'd be too many points. Again, been there, done that, bought the t-shirt, for instance. Again, we see it so many times. And we've only had one season where we won the Premier League title, like I said, averaged 100 points. And every other title win has been down to the last couple of games. So I think regardless of the points, unless it was 20 plus points, etc., then I would say, all right, forget it. But you never know. Again, you just never know. Pep Guardiola on Moosh, the moments are real, very real talk. He has his incredible sense of goal. His first goal is a bit lucky, but that's not just when you play his passion with the love really plays for him. Asked about Erling Haaland, and he was saying, didn't talk about anything else, he just mentioned he was an excellent, the world's best striker. Fine. We've got to go to travel to London to the final. Let's have a look at else. Else also was said about Manchester City. He was. I think again because I hold my breath actually when he talks actually, because I don't know, for instance, how the next I'm going to hear next on Talksport slagging him off because they've been a pain in the ass at the moment. Happy birthday to Omar Moom, she was 27. And Suzumenko also, as I heard an interview with him and Gehi, for instance, on Sky Sports, on Sly Sports, so I was kissing up to Man City players. But Suzumenko, I had the expectations for myself. I knew that there was going to be a pressure on scoring the games, the goals, as Erling Haaland, but I feel that I've been given myself all those goals at the start of the season to compete with the players of stature. I think he was talked about Gehi. Gehi talked about how the fact he's learned so much, he's had to come in. He said he's been bombarded with new information and new ideas and new this, and he said how everybody just takes care of everything at Man City, and Man City do look after our football players. For instance, so they just focus on one thing. So he said he was absolutely bombarded with with everything, etc. So, for instance, is good. So yeah. Let me just have a quick look. Mark Gay facing Liverpool with after the events. It wasn't really up to me. It was a good plan, and it was God's plan, which has been a full fruition. But I'm just looking forward. I'm looking forward to the game, playing against a tough opposition and a great in the game and the great environment to do so. So for instance, but I'll just leave that for a second, etc., because we've got tomorrow to talk about it as well. But I just want to touch on the likes of Talksport this week. Have just been disgraceful. They really have. And again, I do this channel not for my own personal benefit. I do it because I got a pushback and the crap. You listen to. And I've listened to, I think, so-called, they've talked to, I think, Sam, shut up your face, etc. And Alex Scrub was a United fan, was bitching and whining about Man City's empty crowds and empty seats, etc. Another thing they talk about Man City's, even though Pep was joking about the signings. And then you've got the likes of, for instance, on Talksport, what was his name? The morning breakfast show, for instance, and you have a guy, for instance, who goes on Man City's TV, for instance, talks nicely about Man City, then goes on Talksport. He was with the morning show, for instance, Grumpy Old, but he's in Scotland, etc. He does this morning show for Talksport. And so for instance, and he was moaning about City's transfer policy, how Pep's upset and angry about, but Pep said it was a joke and it was sarcasm. But they take it seriously at Talksport, for instance, everything and anything. I think they moaned about Man City 7 times this week. Either 115 brought that up, Man City's transfer policy, Man City's defence. For instance, they've talked about it's just a constant barrage, either Jim White, Simon Jordan, Alex Crook, Sam Shut Up Your Face. You've got, for instance, you've got I listen to this Leanne woman talk about Pep's future. There's constant slagging off my football club is just ridiculous. It really is. And Talksport and Sly Sports, except today, are the two main culprits. There's others, and people say to me, my Liverpool fan, he'll just say before, he'll say to me, why do you bother? Why is this so important to you? I said, why just ignore it? I said, but the problem is because people believe it. And very interesting, just before I go, there was a very interesting podcast I listened to, and and it was about Mark Gahey, the signing of Mark Gahey. I think it was called Football Management Podcast. Two guys, and they explain what happened, why Man City is the the ruling last season, etc. About signing players, etc. For instance, and what. Listen to it, please. I can't remember what it's called now. I'll remember it tomorrow. But but I listened to it, and it's gone for about 40 minutes. But the guy explains the winners are going between City, Liverpool, and Crystal Palace, and who won the the signing of Mark Gahey, and so listen to that. It's you listen to the truth of what happened, not the slap down crap, etc. One-liners talked by Talksport, for instance, and their presenters, and who clearly have an agenda against Manchester City. So anyway, guys, I'm going to leave you. I'll talk to you tomorrow about it. Big game weekend, Man City against ARESnal for the ladies, Arsenal against Man City, and then we've got the guy at 12 o'clock, and then City against Liverpool 4:30 UK time. Anyway, guys, we'll leave you. True Blue Time from Thailand. Like and subscribe. Tell me what you're thinking, what's on your mind, and I'll speak to you tomorrow and see what the second part of Pep's conference and see where we are, guys.